Hello, today I'm joined by my guest Tanya from Iamproperty. Tanya, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Tanya, as estate agents, one of the things that we know we need to do, but it feels like a bit of a chore sometimes, is providing material information to people. It's dealing with the entire sort of onboarding of that client. And it's the first thing we do in a relationship, really, with the people that we're representing. So we need products and we need services that are going to make our life a little bit easier. I've heard a lot about Iamproperty movebutler, and I hear rave reviews from the people that have been using it. But for those people that have been living under a rock and don't know about it, tell us a little bit more.
Okay, so simply put, movebutler provides estate agents with an end-to-end onboarding solution for their clients to make sure they are as sale ready as possible, as soon as possible. We have modularized services that are configurable to suit each business, but it is a compliance first tool. I mean, it's a HMRC requirement for all estate agents. And as we said, it's the starting point in any journey. It then allows them to plug in any additional services, such as enhanced compliance features, such as some of our title insight reports and material information itself. But also those revenue generating features as well, such as conveyancing, surveys, and financial preparation. That last one is coming later this summer as well.
So effectively, it not only gives them that kind of onboarding process, but it almost tees it up and sets it up for them to add more revenue to their bottom line by introducing other services fairly easily.
Yeah, exactly. It's looking at that full customer journey through the house moving process and how we can move all of that forward to the point of onboarding. So not only does it give the agent opportunity for more revenue, but it gets their clients ready as early as possible. Again, coming back to that upfront information to try and avoid those delays later on in their transaction as well.
Well, I think that's the key, isn't it? All the experts you speak to about the industry and about trying to speed up conveyancing and the whole sales process will tell you that the earlier you can start getting answers to key questions, it shaves time down the line, and it really does make transactions flow a lot easier. When you look at sort of material information obligations that agents have now got, and it's all over the press, I saw a video where you were talking about that. And clearly it's a hot topic at the moment. Can you tell us a little bit about where, how Iamproperty are supporting agents with delivering that material information?
Sure, yeah. So that video snippet is from our new Material Information Hub, which we recently launched to provide the insight and education piece to agents on the subject. Content really to help reassure agents that not only can we help through platforms such as movebutler, but the peace of mind that it's not something to be feared, but something to embrace as an opportunity, put a different spin on it and how it can benefit your business and your daily transactions as well. But the platform itself enables the agent to get this material information as part of the onboarding process, so easily slots in as another module. We already offer the ability to order title documents. And off the back of that, we create a title insight report, which is what that little video was about actually in detail. Because the title register actually contains a lot of the key
loads of information.
Yeah, exactly. So we're just extracting that directly from the title register, such as tenure, length of lease, lease remaining, if rent charges and covenants apply, just to name a few. But by pulling that out, we can quickly highlight those key facts to the agent to use on their listings without having to trawl through a full register to find them. But more importantly, it flags any potential issues that may impact the transaction later on with plain English guidance on the approach they could take to mitigate some of those issues further down the line.
I think, by the way, if I could just interject, I think that's great, because as agents, we're great at selling. We're not known for being amazing, don't tell anyone, on detail. because, you know, to pull all that information through and to really sift through it and to know that you can rely on it. We're not necessarily wanting to replicate the work of the solicitors, but to have a tool that kind of already does it for us, it's a godsend.
Yeah, and it's right at the start of that transaction as well. So then they can tailor the marketing, they know which kind of buyer they're looking for. It can only help them as well to avoid those delays later on, or a transaction fall through later down the line because the buyer wants to renegotiate because something's come up on the title, the information provided. So it's really going to save everyone time with that as well.
And so there are agents using this and have tested it and who are using it today and are saving time and money. Okay, so Tanya, that's really interesting. Explain to us a little bit more about how you sort of helping agents to ask the questions and gather that information, particularly when it comes to sort of PIQs.
Yeah, absolutely. So as well as the title insight report, then the agent can have this material information module that I mentioned, and that is for everything else, part A, but also includes some of the typical questions they'd be asking in their property information questionnaire. And we've built that digitally into the vendor onboarding process, making it really easy to submit that back online directly to the agent.
So it's nice and seamless, and it's easy for everybody that's interacting with it to use at every step. So there are agents out there that are using this. I bet you've had some feedback. What's the response been?
Well, overall, I'd like to say, obviously, you only have to look at Scotland to see how this kind of upfront information has reduced timescales by up to 60%. But aside from material information, even encouraging vendors to complete protocol information as early as onboarding for their solicitors later down the line can add to that saving. And there's this kind of tired perception that people are reluctant to fill information in online. There's a hesitance there. But I think the majority of users these days prefer the convenience and the time saving of completing things online. So as an example, when we've sent out this material information forms to our agents' vendors, we've got a completion rate, regardless of material information or the protocol forms, of just over 75% consistently.
That's really good.
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to get users who cannot, for one reason or another, complete them online, and in those cases the agent can take an offline route. But we see that as a really positive result, that we can facilitate, you know, over 3/4 of those customers to make it.
I think also what makes it different this time, and I say this time because there's been other pushes for agents to get better quality information out of their clients, but I think now there is that obligation. It's something that the seller can't ignore. They need to answer those questions by law. It needs to happen. But I think if an agent can get their heads around it and explain the benefit to the seller of getting that information in as early as possible, it is time saving, it is cost saving. But let's not take away from the fact that actually it also increases the customer service. So the buyer's interaction with an agent is going to be so much better when you've got information that you can actually give them. And if I was the seller of a property and an agent sort of came along to me and said, this is how I'm going to deal with your property and this is how we're going to make it easy, I think that's a valuation winner, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's a no-brainer. You know, it appears to the client, well, because you've done more than the usual due diligence to kind of make sure you know just as much about the property and its potential as the vendor who's trying to sell it and what could impact that. It's just having all your cards on the table and providing that transparency to all parties.
Okay, well, that all sounds absolutely great. What does it cost?
Nothing. The material information gathering, its output, you know, a title insight report don't cost anything, but obviously it's a compliance first tool. So the only cost is the agent choosing a credit bundle package, depending on the volumes that they see their usage to be, to pay for the ID checks and electronic checks. But even with that, we've got another solution if they'd like to put that cost onto the clients and turn compliance, the boring topic of compliance, to a profit rather than a cost.
Yeah.
And that's with client charging, which again can just slot into the vendor or buyer's onboarding process, and they can complete payment online. And up till now, we're at 96% of clients who will happily pay. They see it as part of the process, and it's just adding that little bit more pocket money to the agent's bottom line.
No, I think it's great. And you know, if you walked into a solicitor today and said, okay, I want to be a client, they would also charge you for AML and all of that. And I think it's what we've come to expect, and somehow doing it for free, to me, would make me worried it wasn't being done properly.
Yeah.
But also, it makes that whole provision of the service more professional, because you know, people feel that they're getting value for money, and it's being handled correctly. They're not just handing over documents in somebody's office for them to sort of photocopy and shove in a file that will get lost. This is a properly sort of digitized process that we can all rely on.
Yeah, and I think we want to make sure that the agent has a choice and flexibility within the system and with the service that we offer them, because it's still, you know, how they want to run their business. So within each service, there are settings within that. So like I said, you can take the cost of the compliance checks, or you can choose to charge your clients, but that is entirely up to them. And I think that's one of the good things about the service is its flexibility to build their own onboarding journeys to suit their business.
So Tanya, that it's all fantastic, and I know that agents can obviously find you on kerfuffle.com, but for anybody wishing to sort of take this one step further and perhaps start to integrate this into their systems and processes, is it as simple as booking a call with you guys to go through it? How do you handle it?
I would say first port of call, simply visit the Iamproperty website. You can see all the products and services on there, but in the movebutler section specifically, there's a really handy tool. It's a revenue calculator, which will kind of tell you based on your typical volume of instructions, how much you could actually earn from using some or all of movebutler's services. So just underneath that, if that sounds good, there's an inquiry form, or you can use the contact details, phone numbers listed there as well, just to give us a call.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks very much. Thank you.